Well, hello, and welcome to the Everyday Conversion Podcast. My name is Mark Severkrop, and I am your host for the podcast, and we do not have intro music today, and I'm going to explain why. You see, I did not record a podcast episode for today, and I feel really bad about that. So first off, I apologize. But it made me start thinking, because the reason I didn't was because I chose to spend time with my daughter, who's been out of town all weekend, and with my wife, who worked all day, and I didn't get to see her while she was working. I work from home, so typically when she's not, the day she's not working, I see her at lunch. I'm able to talk with her throughout the day and stuff. So I made the conscious decision last night that I was going to, we were going to come cook some steaks. We're going to eat outside. The kids played and, put the sprinkler on the lawn and ran through the sprinkler a little bit because it was a nice day. And, we just spent time together. And then once the kids went to bed, my wife and I chose to spend some time with her. And I knew that I had a podcast. And I also just consciously decided that I wasn't going to record one. And, that made me start thinking. There's a few things that made me think of. The first one was, we talked a few weeks ago about Martha and Mary. And Christ talked about, was it Martha or Mary? I can't remember which one it was, but the one of them choosing the better part. And how sometimes in our lives, we have to make decisions. And those decisions are often between two good things, as President Oaks says, between good, better, and best. This podcast is a great thing. And, I talk to people fairly frequently now that say, I listen to your podcast every day and I love it and it helps so much, and I really appreciate that. So obviously creating and recording the podcast is a good thing, but spending time with my family is a good thing as well. And so I had that challenge, and it also made me think of the fact that I remember when I was on my mission president, President Mullen, used to talk to us about how we had that moderation in all things. And he made the comment a few times, he's like, there's a time and a season. He quoted Ecclesiastes, and he says, there's a time and a season for things. When you get home from your mission is not the time to spend 6 or 7 hours studying the gospel. He said, you just can't do that. You have school, and you'll have a family, and you'll have work, and all of these different responsibilities, and you're not going to be able to take that much time doing it. And I've realized that. I've realized that, there are times and seasons that I'm able to do more things, and times and seasons when I'm able to do less things. And sometimes that's, times and seasons as in when I have young kids. And sometimes it's just the time of the year that it is. I have more time than others to do certain things. And I think that's the balance, and that's the trial, and that's the value of the gospel, is finding ways to fit it into your daily life, finding ways to make it work and make it a central part of your life. And that looks differently. I know there's members in my ward when I was bishop that, they were able to read the scriptures 3 and 4 hours a day, but they were retired and their kids were all gone. And so they were able to do that, and that's fantastic. And at some point, I'll probably have that season in my life, but I don't now. So I do what I can. And I think that's the value of Come Follow Me, too, is it allows each of us individually to make the determination, what are we able to do? And we had a conversation on Sunday in Gospel Doctrine. And we were talking about the story of, the wedding feast and the people that were invited to the wedding feast. And they all had an excuse. One of them said, I just brought a piece of land and I can't make it. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I don't even know if they said sorry. And, then there was the person that said, hey, I just got married, and so I'm sorry I can't make the wedding. And every one of them had an excuse. And we talked about the fact that, and I kind of jokingly said, well, I think the one with the, just got married, that might be a legitimate excuse. That might be a reason to say, hey, I'm going to spend time with my family. But the conversation we had was, and the comment that I made specifically, and, other people said things very, very similar to this, was, how are you focused? what's your focus? Are you looking for, as we were talking about how, the wedding and the wedding feast could be an analogy for the gospel. And these people were making excuses, either, because of possessions or because of family or other social responsibilities or because of work, that they couldn't partake of the gospel. They couldn't do what they needed to. And my thought, and a lot of other people said very similar things, was, what way are you focusing? Are you looking for reasons to live the gospel, or are you looking for reasons to not live the gospel? And which way are you looking at it? And which way is, what's your focus? And I think that's my encouragement to you today is, we're all in different seasons of our lives. Some of us are able to study more, some are able to study less. Some are able to sit down every night of the week or every morning of the week and read the scriptures or go through Come Follow Me, and some of us aren't. But what's your focus? Are you trying to find ways to study the gospel? Or are you trying to find ways not to? Are you looking for excuses so that you don't have to? And that's really the telltale sign. And I think that's really what the Savior wants from us, is not that we're all going to be the same, not that we're all going to do the same things or say the same things. Obviously, He doesn't expect us to do that, and the Heavenly Father doesn't either, because they've created Come Follow Me, and they've directed the prophet to create Come Follow Me. So obviously, we can do different things. Obviously, we can study in different ways and at different times, and study different things and do it for different durations. But what's our focus? So my question to you today, and these questions are completely unscripted because you may be able to hear, I'm in the car and I'm on my way to the gym. So I don't have any of this written down. But my question to you today is, where is your focus? What are the ways that you're looking for reasons to live the gospel? In a busy life, in a busy schedule, what are ways that you are finding those little pockets of time? Whether it's listening to this podcast with your kids or, listening to Mormon Channel. Man, if you don't listen to the Mormon Channel, that was one of my favorite things to do. Still is one of my favorite things to do. Because I hear conference talks and I hear all of these things. So what's your focus? How are you finding those pockets of time to study and to live the gospel and to ponder it and to interact with it in your day-to-day busy life? So I thank you for your grace in allowing me to not record a planned out podcast episode, but there was some good stuff that came from that. I was impressed. I'm happy with myself for those things I came up with. So have a great day and go live the gospel today. Find some ways to do that. And I'm going to head to the gym and head to work after that. And I will create a podcast episode for tomorrow. And we will see you then.